Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just like hit my desk with my hand really hard. It is me, Clover. I'm talking a little, I wonder if it's like coming off super loud, but I'm trying to talk a little bit louder. Oh my gosh, my voice. Do you see when I try to talk louder, my voice just kind of goes away? I've noticed through recording videos again that I talk extremely quiet. Um, and like I live alone, so like I don't there's no reason for me to really talk so quietly, but I do talk really quietly. But in today's video, we have some interesting things to show you. I want to kind of start expanding on the plot that I was telling you guys about. So I'm going to kind of share a bit of the plot. So I'm going to show you kind of what I've been writing because so I have it written down on Canva and also in like Google Docs, and some of it's physical, but I have taken pictures of the physical and like put it into Canva and Google Docs. We're gonna start with our gallery, which I think is extremely important to like look at because our gallery is something that I'm working on now. Because as I told you, um, this is what is very something. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to find my gallery. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So this is the gallery. It's very small right now because we don't have a lot of morphing potions or transmorgification potions. That will be like a goal that I'm working on, is getting all of them, I guess. But I don't need them all like today or tomorrow or like this year or next year. Like it can be just like a overarching goal that I have for kind of the series and my playstyle now on Neopets. So I've called it Venomix's Secret Lair. So obviously this is not really what Venomix looks like. She's like gonna be a white hissy or a mutant hissy, but I think her appearance is like ever changing because of the experiments that she does. So basically, I said like Venomix spends her time mixing and brewing strange concoctions. After decades of practicing white magic, she found an ancient book of dark magic. She began to practice the dark magic, and soon her personality and intentions became darker. Over time, Venomix has mutated and morphed many neopets and uses her loyal subjects to do her bidding. I'm saying that it's a bit of a combination in terms of what the morphing potions and the magic does. So, as she's like dove into this like dark magic, the dark magic has almost kind of like taken over and clouded her vision, making her like work on more magic that almost is the way that I'm seeing it in my head is that she's morphing and like experimenting on neopets, and then she's like using her magic to like kind of mind control them a bit, and that is what she's doing. So there's actually something that she'll be doing soon, and I'm excited to do that, but I'm gonna probably categorize them too into like morphing potions or transmogrification potions because I think they're a little bit different. Well, not really, they practically do the same thing, but Venomix, actually, this ties us really quickly into kind of like our other plot lines. So, Venomix is obviously a part of the bad faction, and then I can quickly go over my shop. So, this is Fourier's traveling wagon, and I can go to the shop front. So, Fourier says, I've got more than just these carrots. So, this is talking about how after the war and the destruction of his general store, because, like I said, the war, like, really has, like, done a number on, like, all of. I don't necessarily know what the land is called yet. I'm still kind of, like, thinking about it. I was saying, like, Neovia, but I'm pretty sure Neovia is a thing. So, I don't know if we're gonna do Neovia, but that's, like, what I've been saying in my head. But after the war and the destruction of his general store, Fourier decided to take his shop on the road. So he travels throughout selling items and other goodies. He comes across unique treasures throughout his travels, so you never know what he might have in stock. Although he travels, Fourier feels a strong sense of loyalty to the kingdom and still pays his taxes. So virtually my shop and all of the facets of my shop are just like Fourier's like generosity towards the kingdom. So like say a normal platinum Nerkmid sells and I go to my shop till, like this is not in my universe and like the way that I'm role playing, I guess. 118,000 Neo points is not how much Four is selling the Nerkmid for. This is just the amount that he's giving back to the kingdom. and the kingdom being like my bank account. I just think it makes it a lot more fun to have this kind of setup. I think it's so fun. I'm glad that I thought of it. So now I go to like my shop till and like I have 118,000 and that's just how much he's decided to give back to the kingdom. And I think that like makes a lot more sense. And I like that I have this facet. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, but I didn't necessarily know how to integrate it. So now that we've kind of gone over some of like this is like extra plot. Like Venomix is a pretty like central character to the actual plot, but Fourier is like a virtually like non-existent character. Like I don't think we're gonna really even see like any solo plot from him. I know that he was married at one point, but obviously his partner passed away because of the war, which is really unfortunate. And that's honestly why I think he decided to take his general store and not rebuild from the ground up, but he instead decided to take it on his travels because he just needed some space away from the kingdom because it reminded him too much of his his partner, but he still has like a deep love and respect for the kingdom, so he still gives back through the taxes that he pays. Like, how you'd pay taxes if you worked at a general store or you owned a business in the kingdom, he just still pays those taxes even though he no longer resides in the kingdom. So now that we've kind of like looked at those like side plots, except like Venomix is not really a side plot. I wouldn't say she's a main character, but it's, I don't know. It's clearly like very fan fictiony because I have like 30 different characters that all have like these very intricate stories going on at the same time. It's giving fan fiction. But we'll start with a no-no because I finally started to fill in some of his plot. So I'll zoom this in for you. Also, yes, he does have a pet now, and it will go into it in the second part of the backstory. And also, if you ever like want to read about my pets, like this is public, so you could just go to their pet lookup page. I literally made this public. Like just that's how weird I am. I made this public. So you can read it if you want to, but I'll read it to you right now. Um, just for the backstory aspect. So he was a royal knight in the army, served for decades. He was never the most experienced strategist or fighter, but he has a golden heart. He always did his best to protect those he loves. His battles against the mutant army were futile, and the entire army was wiped out besides Inono. And he's spent the last few years training tirelessly to hopefully one day avenge all of the people who fell in the war. So the last two warriors that were like fighting that were alive still were him and Rosend, and he watched as his best friend and the strongest warrior in the kingdom was defeated by Venomix's mutant Gellert. If you saw that we got the Gellert transmogrification potion, things will start being filled in here as well. There's a name for this Gellert, and he does have a name, and I will be updating this. The backstory will be getting updated too, so it's one of two and two of two, but there will be like three at one point. I'm probably going to stop at like three pieces of backstory for each character because we're still in the backstory aspect of it, especially as we don't have um, all of like the items and requirements to like move into the present. I think I want to try to collect as many of the pets that are like central to the plot. So like I want Inono, I want you'll see like Kuriyama is another essential part of this plot, but I need to have her and him like here in the plot. So they need to have physical pet pages before I can move into the present. So this is just like developing the backstory. This is the second part of the backstory. So Donzor, which is this pet right here, originally was Rosen's pet and had never really gotten along with Inono. The two only tolerated each other because they had such respect for Rosend. Donzor is an extremely smart and agile creature and helped protect Rosen from many tough opponents during the final wave of mutants that pillaged the kingdom following Rosen's passing. Donzor and Inono teamed up, that's why they're together now. They put aside their differences to protect the remaining villagers and the princess. Since the battle, they have been training together and helping each other to cope with the loss. So I have like a misspelling here. The loss of their owner and best friend. So, yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot here, and it's actually a little different to like talk about in my head and like write it down in like a notebook, like a physical notebook, than like putting it to my pet page. Like anyone can see this. Like you right now can go to a No No's pet page and you'll see all this stuff. Um, and like read it if you want to, and you'll see it'll probably get updated in the future. So here's Donzor. He's a SETI, and he actually fits really well with Rosend pre pre-death. And it's really cool now that he has a piece of Rosend. Um, and if you, oh yeah, so if you want to learn how to do this, you just go to My Account, you go to Control Panel, and you go down here to Neopet Description, and now you will select, so it'll, it's Neopet, so it's of course going to be slow. Do you see Rippian? Do you know what that's going to be? Spoiler alert! Okay, so you go to Inono, and then you go to the backstory, like you can just write it down here, or I just copy and paste. And then if you want to do lines, you have to do like a break in the line. This is just like a very basic HTML code. So literally you just put that in there and that will separate the lines. If not, everything will be together. And then if you want spaces, it's another code, but I haven't done that because it's kind of hard, because I don't want it to like get too long and long and long by having a lot of spaces, but that's basically what you do. And now that we've gone over a bit more of a no-no, and I get to not be on this pet page, let's get to the correct pet page, of course. Because now we went over a no-no, I think we should go over Rosend. Because this, so the way that I have the plot set up is you don't learn everything about every character from just their pet page. I don't know why I'm thinking like that. I don't know. I'm like having like so many, like, maybe I have too much free time. But so basically, you don't learn everything about Inono's backstory. You don't learn everything about Rosen's backstory. You don't learn everything about anyone's backstory on their pet page. Backstory will kind of be sprinkled across all of them. Obviously, I'm not going to leave things out of like the present things going on. Like, you'll gonna know about it and you'll know where it is. I haven't like decided where I want things to reside. If I want to like make like a separate little blog where I write like present stories and chapters. Chapters. I don't know. Am I reading a book? I don't know. Maybe is this just a full on like fanfic? I don't know what the goal is though. It's kind of like overarching. So who knows? And it's ever evolving too. So here's Rosend. You've seen him before, I think. But now he's actually in the plot. Okay, so we've got some thick plot here. So this is the first part. So Rosen entered the kingdom on the same day as Inono. They both trained at the same academy and had been friends ever since they met. Upon joining the royal guard, Rosen was quickly promoted because of his prowess, abilities, and strength. He was never made a leader in the royal guard, though, because he acted as somewhat of a lone wolf. The only one he let close to him was Inono, and to an extent, Kuriyama, although he didn't fully trust her. Although it was unknown to Rosend, before his passing, Inono had been harboring a crush since they were a lot younger. And when I told you there was a love triangle, this is not, Rosend is not a part of that love triangle. So there's like a love square. Why do I have, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are always like too much. So basically, Inono's been harboring a crush against Rosen. Obviously, Rosen is not alive. So I know he's showing up as a zombie, but no, he's passed away. Like Rosen is not alive right now. He will only have backstory for the current period. He's not included in the current plot. Um, yeah, so Rosen didn't know that he'd been harboring this crush. Rosen would protect Inono from the stronger Drake at the academy, and unbeknownst, and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, this is a big, big piece that may or may not come up later. Unbeknownst to Inono, Rosen was the reason he was brought to the royal guard. So back when Rosen was summoned by the king to join the guard, he made it clear that the only way he would join is if Inono was also promoted. Plot twist. So it's like, I don't know why I had this thought. I actually wrote this backstory part today. Um, and I don't know why I thought of that, but I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. If Rosen is like this amazing warrior and Inono is like, I would say like now in present day, Inono is probably similar strength. He was not similar strength back in the day when they first entered the kingdom, which is interesting. But yeah. It's a lot. You have to like probably read this on your own if you want like a full scope. But basically, yeah. So when Rosend finally was promoted, he made it clear that he wanted Inono to come with him. And I don't know what Inono was thinking. Did he just think like, oh yeah, like maybe they see that I'm very loyal or in that I have like a really good heart and I'm, like I think especially in like a kingdom, like you want good people around and personable people. So maybe in those regards, Inono was the perfect person to come with Rosend, so it makes sense. But he probably wouldn't have been promoted if not for Rosend. So back when Rosend was summoned by the king to join the guard, blah blah blah, yeah, we already talked about this. So Inono, he never told Inono this, and he never planned to tell his closest friend a secret that could crush him. Because think about it, like how would Inono feel if he knew this information? That would like crush him, especially because the royal guard is completely decimated, and so is his friend. His friend is no longer even here. Oh yeah, this is like kind of sad. So as Kuriyama attempted to heal Rosend, Inono held him in his arms as his life force drained. I want to like draw that. I want to draw that scene, like Inono holding onto Rosen. So Rosen was like a. Oh yeah, you'll see in part two. Okay, so yeah, they were very close. Inono harbored this intense crush, and then Inono had to hold him in his arms when he passed away, which is sad. It was unrequited though. Rosen was not aware of his love. This goes into part. This is before even meeting Inono. So prior to meeting Inono, whilst back at the academy, Rosend had a close friend named Drophet. So Drophet was a pink drake, and although gifted with magic, had decided to join the Battle Academy and develop battle magic. Rosend was in awe of her sheer talent and tactical abilities and had become quite infatuated. As a shadow drake, he was a shadow drake before he passed away. He knew it was implausible that she would accept him. Despite this thought, he and Drophet got along well, and one night he confessed his feelings to her. She reciprocated these feelings and they shared an unforgettable moment under the moonlight. That's going to be important later. That is going to be very, very, very important later. And you'll see. You'll see. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that unforgettable moment under the moonlight is a very unforgettable moment under said moonlight. So Rosen was smitten and couldn't wait to spend every possible moment with her. He would tell her about his plans to marry her and the ideal world where they got to live together peacefully. Unfortunately, they were currently living in obviously this war torn world that's constantly under siege. So when Drophyte was summoned for a mission, due to her unique abilities, she fell into a trap. Um, there was like some trap in the mission that she joined, but they chose her for the mission because she's one of the only warriors that was able to wield magic in a fighting way. So, like Venomix, she uses her magic for manipulation and also, I guess, like morphing and transmogrification and all of that stuff. But Drophyte was able to use her magic for battle, which is like obviously very useful. But yeah, she fell into a trap and she wasn't able to be recovered during the mission and was pronounced no longer alive. Hearing this news obviously broke Rosen's heart into a million pieces and he swore never to love again. Isn't that crazy? What is this plot that I'm writing? So this is just backstory for each character. Um, and I've only talked about two characters so far. There is way more characters. I mean, you can have 20 pet slots. So how many pets in plots do you think there's going to be in this story? I will let you guess. So that was Rosen's story. And now finally, we have a little bit of backstory about Drophyte. So Drophyte is just a red Kachik, but has she always been a red Kachik? That is the question. So here's some of her backstory. So Drophyte has no memory of who she was before she was captured and brought to Venomix. Her last memories are of her needing to find her way out of a seemingly endless maze. She wanders aimlessly around her small confined space. Some days she will talk to Rippian, but he barely ever answers her. The worst part of her day is the morning visits from Venomix. Venomix tests all of her strange potions, which changes her form and coloration. She remembers being a Piofin at one point, but can't even remember what species she was born as. Her only memories are of that long maze, and she remembers needing to get back to someone. Each day she grows weaker and her memories grow more fuzzy. Some nights, while she pretends to sleep, she overhears Venomix discussing a final takedown plan. The plan talks about a prophetic monster who would be strong enough to overthrow any village. Just when she is able to hear enough details, she falls asleep. I know there's some typos there. We're working on it. I was like inputting things from Canva. But I recently switched from Canva to Google Docs so I can actually like edit things correctly. Because there's some, typos and mistakes and errors and stuff. And if you see errors, like you could neo mail me and just like tell me, obviously. But if if it's like an error like this and I see it, you don't need to tell me because I see it. But the plan talks about a prophetic monster who would be strong enough to overthrow any village. So do you see that plan? And now I will show you what my weekly quest reward is because it'll help you make some sense out of what I'm actually talking about. So here's our weekly reward. And look what our weekly reward is. It's a Drake transmorgification potion. So what do you think Venomix is going to do with this morphing potion, which she believes will be able to like really make like a big dent in the war? Yeah, yeah. Especially because we don't know necessarily if Rosend is actually fully gone or if there's ways in which Venomix has discovered any like reanimation and what that could mean for the village as well. So we've got a lot. There's going to be a lot of trauma for Inono, and Inono is not the only lead in this plot. There's also Kuriyama, who, like I said, is still undergoing customization and creation herself, but I have some of her backstory written too. Yeah, I don't know what I'm writing or even what I'm doing. Like, literally, this is a game with no real story and plot. Like, yes, Neopets, the entity, has its own, like, overarching story and plot, but, like, this is, like, very, like, I'm just making this up as I go. And, like, I don't know. I've been like thinking about this. First I thought about the love triangle. I have like written actually a lot more about the love triangle in the present day. But all of a sudden, like these past couple like weeks, I've been like just endlessly thinking of all this backstory that I feel like is helpful going into the story. So I guess we're almost kind of in like a prequel era. I like that. We're entering our era. This is a prequel to the story that's about to take place because, like I said, Inono and Rosend and also Drophyte are not fully central to the plot. It's mostly going to be about Inono, Kuriyama, and another male lead in kind of the present day. And, but it's important to know these characters because it helps to shape kind of the interactions that they have moving forward and also like who they are as characters, like what they've gone through and who they've loved and who they've had crushes on and all of that stuff because I think that's really important, especially when we go into the plot because it's going to get really crazy, especially when Venomix enters the plot, because clearly she's got a lot that she's trying to work on. She has Rippian, who eventually will obviously be a mutant Gellert. She might be working on some reanimation magic. Word to like Naruto. So she might be working on reanimation magic, so we might see Rosend again. And then she's also got this Drake transmortification potion that she's been working on brewing that, you know, and she has Drophyte captured. She has a potion. She has a very strong warrior in Drophyte, and you never know what's gonna happen. But so that's why I feel like it's good to like lay the seeds and lay the backstory and the prequel of it all because I don't think it'll have as much emotional impact on me at least. I mean, I'm very emotional already, but I don't know if it'll have as much emotional impact unless you knew all this backstory. Like, you have to know who Rosend is, and you have to know like who Inono is and who they all are to each other, because it's gonna make what Venomix does to all of these people just like crazier. Because like Venomix is like nuts. As much as I want to give like my villains like redeeming aspects, there's like another there's another plot that's like gonna happen after this first plot. It's basically like I would say like it's almost like I feel like I'm working on like a series. Like I was gonna say like an anime arc, but it's not an anime arc. Like maybe it's kind of anime arcy. No, I think it's more of like a movie. Like one movie, two movie, three movie. Like there's like or a three act part. It's like we're in the first act, I guess, or like the the beginning of the first act, which is the like the prequel. Then we're going into the first act and the second act, and then there's just a lot. But all of a sudden, it's gonna get really crazy. So that's why I'm like, I feel like I need to introduce you to some of the central characters, or at least the central character currently, which is Inono, and then obviously Venomix. I feel like is pretty important and central to the plot. But also, like, some of these other characters are going to start coming at you. So it's also, um, I'm like coming at you as if like I'm making you buy the novel that I'm not writing. But I also just feel like it's gonna kind of like tie into a lot of my Neopets videos because most of them are gonna be about customizing these characters so they're like they look more like how I view them in my head, which is interesting. And also, it's also I wanted to share like what I'm doing with my shop and like how that's also plot relevant, and also like the lab ray, like that how I've been saying is gonna be lab like the lab ray is plot relevant because the lab ray is not the lab ray. It's actually just Venomix's gallery spotlight that I have. It's just like her secret lair. That's where the lab ray is in my universe. And also it like makes sense because like I'm gonna be starting to collect morphing potions and transmorgification potions, so I need to obviously save more neo points to buy those. So there's a lot going on. I know there's a lot going on, and like I said, if you actually are like interested in learning more about these plots, you can like it's public. I have made this all public. That's that. And I'm also, of course, I have written backstory for both Cube and EOS, but I'm still I don't know, I'm just like not as like I'm not as focused on them right now, so I haven't added their backstory into their pet lookup pages yet, but eventually I will. I think I'm just more like fixated on this prequel aspect because Cube and EOS are they're a part of the prequel, and then they're actually I don't know, I'm just like talking now, but before this plot had happened, there was like a full on like deadbeat dad storyline. I wonder if I can like go find him. But Jaramello was actually a like I had a Blue husband and wife, and Jaramello was like this like deadbeat dad who was like not taking care of their kid. I still have their kid. Plotline ended because Blue was put up for adoption and was taken over to like Fairy Wonderland, which is one of my side accounts. um, and to hear on Fairy Wonderland, she's like living her best life. And then I had like, wait, can I show you Devenir? So this is Devenir, and this was literally like my Christian girl influencer. Um, what are these plots? But yeah, she was the one who like had the baby and then, things happened and I don't know what happened to her. She dipped. She left the picture, then, Bloomer like Jaramello was stuck taking care of Bloomerette and nobody wanted to take care of her, so she got sent to Fairyland and then the plot ended because then I got bored. Well, not that I got bored, it's just like it really played out. Like the baby was gone and I didn't want to play with Jaramello anymore. He had done such awful things. And Devanir was also not acting correctly. And also, I didn't like their naming convention. I didn't like how they had the lowercase letter, so I basically just like destroyed their plot because they were happy at one point. They were happy at one point, but then they weren't because I was like, I'm tired of the lowercase first letters. And why did I have blue? Why is Bloomerette's name not capitalized? It just like wasn't making sense. So I just like literally crashed and burned their storyline because I was like, well, we need to usher in a new era, which now we are in. We're in our prequel era with Inono currently, kind of like learning more about him and some of the characters that are relevant to his universe. To note, he's never met Jurophyte. Jurophyte is pre Inono, so it's kind of weird because like Nono is our central character, but there's another story that's happened already between Rosen and Jurophyte where they fell in love back when Jurophyte was literally like not even a Kachik, she was a Drake, but obviously she's been morphed by Venomix, who you haven't even met in the flesh. Um, I mean, you've kind of met Venomix interestingly enough, because you have gone to the gallery. I've taken you to the gallery, and Venomix is right here. This is Venomix. She looks different now, but she's looked like this before. And to some people, she still looks like that because she can change her appearance with magic. See? And she's planning on doing something very big because Venomix is the right hand to the king of the opposing tribe. Not tribe, but the opposing kingdom. So we have the kingdom that Inono lives in, which is guarded by, well, not guarded by, but it's ruled by Princess Palisa, and then the opposing is King Tirjan. And you'll meet them later. They're like very not relevant right now. Um, but they're still relevant as like background characters. Because like we're in the royal, Inono's he's in it. He's in the royal academy. That's where this final fight happened, where Rosend was murdered, and and obviously like Venomix, like she has like vested interest to pillage this village because she works for the opposing king, but the opposing king is not as evil as you might think. It has to do with that like dark evil spirit that Venomix accidentally created, but she's not opposed to it because she is evil objectively. um, but that's when I said like there is a character that will have like a bit of like a villain redemption arc. It's not Venomix currently. You never know. Venomix, you never know if she could redeem herself somehow. I don't know. She might have done like a little too much. Like sometimes we can't like forgive everyone, but we can. I think we can forgive King Tirjan. Maybe. We'll see. I haven't even written full on his story. I have it like jotted down. I've written like all of this stuff in like not even a notebook, like notepads. So I just had like notepads full of like weird notes that I was writing as I was getting ready because this actually all spurred because I wanted to make like UC fairies. So like there's UC fairies and I wanted them to be the guardian protectors of like a kingdom. And then I just started like writing it from there. And I actually have the UC fairies picked out that I want already. I want two. It's going to be a fairy Grawl and a fairy Aisha. And they're going to basically be like protecting something. Can't give you all the spoilers, but I mean, I'm continuously writing it like every single day, every single moment of free time. So you'll meet them pretty soon. Obviously, they won't be UCs when you meet them because we're still waiting for the UC generator. You'll meet them probably before they're UCs. And then, but that will be so fun that like we'll be able to like literally turn our characters into how they look in the plot, which I think is a very cool fact. Because if you've ever seen a fairy Grawl or a fairy Aisha, they look so like not fun. They're not bad pets converted. They're not bad pets converted, but their unconverted pet form is just so much more dynamic. The fairy Aisha is just so cool. Um I'll show you what they look like. Yes. So here is the fairy Aisha, the UC fairy Aisha, which is just such a cute pet. And like you'll see the fairy Grawl that it like actually fits very well with this. So here's the Grawl. Oh, no. Look how cute the fairy Grawl. Doesn't he fit perfectly with the fairy Aisha? How he's like the fire spirit and she's like this water spirit, so it's a bit of like the cool versus like the hot. It's like so cute. Fairy Grawl is like one of the cutest pets to me. So is fairy Aisha, and I like them both like together. I think another fairy that I really like is the UC fairy Bori. But I feel like it's like I said, like right now we're only doing like plot relevant characters. Obviously, like I'll have neopets that aren't a part of this plot. Like there's only around like 20 characters, maybe like 19, 18 characters that are a part of this central plot. So I've got side accounts that I can have like other UCs on, like, NC UCs. Because if you didn't know already, they're bringing back UCs. Um, but do you see this difference? You cannot tell me you like this. Like, you cannot tell me that you think this is cuter than this. Like, come on. Like, it's not. This is just such a cute pet. Same with, like, I'll show you the Aisha one more time, because I don't think I showed you the unconverted. But do you see how, like, she goes from this? Like, she goes from this, which is so dynamic and so fun, to this, which, like, there's no problem with this. It's just, like, it looks like a blue Aisha wearing, like, wings you can go buy at, like, the NC Mall. But this is just so unique and so fun. I know a lot of people really love customizing Neopets, which I do too. Like, I love to customize my Neopets, but, like, I don't know. I think like neopets don't have to be wearing clothes. Like they're neopets. They're not humans. Like it's not like they're naked. Um, so that's really cool. And I'll also show you um, the royal girl because I will show you what Princess Palisa will look like eventually. So Princess Palisa, you'll meet her like this. I don't think converted royal girl side bunnies are like an abomination, but look what we lost. Like look what we lost. Like look how beautiful this is. So I saw some rumors that the second NCUC might be the royals, like the royal girl and royal boy UCs. So Princess Palisa hopefully at some point will look like this. That's like everything to me. Like that is such a cute Neopet. And I feel like it's so much more princessy than this. Like I don't get princess from her, but I do get like little kind of like spoiled princess that has to learn some stuff, which is really cute. And then I will show you the royal boy Grawl because this will be what King Tierjan looks like. And I'm not actually going to convert him. I unconvert him. I think this looks a little like too much. I actually think he looks cute as like a converted pet. I like the converted royal boy girl. I like him. And I think he actually would look cute with Princess Palisa unconverted because maybe they're going to have a bit of an enemies to lovers. Okay, so I know this is a bit abrupt kind of switch over, but I recorded this next part a little bit afterwards where we're introducing Kuriyama. So this is where I'm going to talk about her backstory. Of course, we've got some backstory because if nothing else, I am going to just have like a lot of lore for each of my Neopets. But yeah, that's just how my mind works, clearly. But without further ado, let me share some of her backstory. She's not edited yet. Like, I have plans to customize all of these pets, and like that will come in a later video. I have like dress to impress links and like things set up. I just have to get like set up on how to like do NC trading. If any of you guys have any like tips, slide in my way because I'm so new to NC trading. But let's kind of like let's talk about Kuriyama and her backstory because she's so new. Like who is she? Let me tell you about her. And like always, this is public. So you can go to her pet lookup page and read all about this stuff. I just feel like I want these videos to be more of like I don't know, more audio based, I guess. I don't really know what that really means, but I'm gonna read it out to you and you can read and I'm like not gonna read it like word for word. So if you actually want to go ahead and read word for word what's everything on here, I'm kind of just summarizing. It's on her pet lookup page in some thick little 100-ish word paragraphs. So I'll start reading now. So Kuriyama was a normal white drake who excelled at healing magic from a young age. Due to her exceptional prowess, she was invited to attend an elite magic training school. Here she met Venomix, and the two grew to be close friends. They challenged each other to be the best healing mages possible in order to one day serve the royal guard. The pair's hard work paid off, and they were both invited to serve the late king's royal army. While there, Kuriyama impressed, while Venomix began to show signs she might not be cut out for the role. Although unknown to her, Venomix had begun to practice dark magical arts and was quickly banished. Kuriyama wasn't told at the time why her former collaborator was exiled. Still, Kuriyama continued her training and slowly became one of the best healing mages. Without Venomix, Kuriyama became quite lonely. That was until both Rosend and Inono showed up at the kingdom. Almost immediately, they all grew quite close, with Kuriyama and Inono being exceptionally close. Kuriyama developed a deep crush on Inono and hoped one day they might be able to connect. Backstory, this is the second part of her backstory because yeah, of course they need like a lot more than just one paragraph isn't enough. We need like two for her. One day, as Kuriyama was tending to the royal garden, she stumbled upon an injured creature. The creature was strangely colored and almost didn't appear to be from this realm. Kuriyama focused her healing powers on the injured familiar and was able to heal her. In return for her generosity, the spirit shared some of its life force with Kuriyama. Suddenly, hearts and markings appeared throughout her body, and she felt a surge of magical powers. The new change not only brought with it a unique color, but also increased magical control to strengthen her healing abilities. It was after this transformation that Kuriyama was named as the lead medic of the Royal Guard. The position, while seemingly an amazing promotion, forced her into seeing extremely injured neopets. As her medical prowess developed, she was able to heal even the largest injuries. Despite this training, during the final battle, she was unable to resuscitate Rosend. I think I spelled this wrong. I don't know. Who cares? She still partly blames herself for not being able to save him and works tirelessly to strengthen her magic. Yeah, so it's like she's this really highly ranked. Well, now I guess she's probably the only royal medic. And that also ties into why her coloring is so unique, and also I'm gonna get a pet for her that is a Valentine's pet. I think it's probably gonna be the Valentine's Cadoti. Super, super expensive because that Valentine's pet paintbrush is really expensive. So we're working on that. First, we get all of the pets, then we focus on the pets. Obviously, Inono has his pet. I think it's Drozor. Yeah, let's see. Let me just double check so I know. Yeah, it's with Donzor. That's the pet. The pet, like we talked about in the last video, who actually belonged to Rosend at one point. But obviously, Rosend is dead. So now we go into Rumor, which I think this is the cutest name. This is one of the reasons why I started writing this plot, was because I wanted Rumor to be a baby Drake and I needed him to make sense. Why is he a baby Drake? So this actually ties directly into some of the plot that we explore, and you'll see. You'll see. Do you see how this is all starting to tie together? You'll see it right in this paragraph, probably. Said to be the last known Drake, Rumor was found as an unhatched egg during a recovery mission. The egg was immediately sent to Princess Polisa, as her family had been in charge of the Royal Drake Army for centuries. The princess had never seen a drake egg in person, as most drake parents would never leave their eggs willingly. The princess spent months next to the egg, and one day it hatched. Out popped Rumor, surrounded in strong protection magic. He flew straight towards the princess and has barely left her side since that day. Since he was born, he has been training with both Inono and Kuriyama. He wields magic as strong as Kuriyama and strength that already exceeds Inono. One day when they were training, Inono commented that his eyes looked so familiar. It was never confirmed who his parents were, but they both haven't come looking for him. Rumor has a short temper, but due to his unfortunate circumstances, most in the village give him a pass. Still, he is said to be the next great warrior and could be the one needed to help put an end to this war. So that's Rumor. He doesn't have a lot of backstory because I don't think he needs too much backstory. I think, honestly, some of the other backstory kind of explains a little bit about why he might be here. But I'm not going to spoil that stuff for you. I'm bringing you along this journey. It's up to you to connect some of the dots of the backstory. Obviously, when we get into the present and the stuff that's happening in the present, you'll know because I'm gonna write it very clear. But I kind of wanted the backstory to be kind of vague, kind of ambiguous about everybody's relationship to each other, and also, again, the identity of Rumor. So we have more backstory, which is exciting because now we just have so much more. And I also edited Drofight. I think this actually is really funny to have Drofe as just this girl stuck in this little prison with her with this little outfit on. I'm still customizing obviously everybody else, but I'm so glad that now we have Kuriyama and Rumor in the flesh, so you can see them, go to their pet lookup pages, and you'll see them continue to change. They'll change. Especially because they're not customized to the way that I want them to be, especially Kuriyama. I like this background for her, especially because I feel like it kind of lends to the fact that she's always out kind of in the gardens in the village, kind of tending to plants and gardening and doing those things that she has to do. And then Rumor, I probably am going to put him in a really cute little baby room, as in he's with Princess Polisa most of the time when he's not training. So I'd like to have him there. But obviously I don't have Princess Polisa or her room created yet, her background. So I don't know which background Rumor will have until I have hers. So right now he's just, I guess this is where he sits when he goes to go train with Inono. They go to like this little area. And then Inono is just on this little beautiful bridge. If you played Neopets, like they just gave this bridge out in like the tutorial quests. And I think it's a really pretty background. And I like that it's just like, no, maybe like walking around after training. Can you tell I used to write fan fiction? You probably can tell I used to write fan fiction. But I like these like big overarching, like huge stories that have like a lot of intricacies and parts and details and things because I don't know. That's the way my brain works. Like I'm very ADHD and like if you are a little bit ADHD like I am, which I'm not a little bit, but I'm like a lot. Like like your brain will go in a million different directions. And that's what I feel like these stories do because like they all do tie into each other objectively. Like if nothing else, I can tie a lot of things together because of my history reading fan fiction. Because if you ever if you've ever written a fan fiction, you've got to like really kind of like tie some things together. You got to do that. And I'm doing that right now. But I'm going to end this video here because I need to stop talking about this Neopet storyline because I've been thinking about it for a long time today. I've just been like, I was writing some this morning before work and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, okay, we're done. We are done with talking about this. Until next time, and in the next video, obviously, I'll be still doing my Neopets dailies and, you know, introducing more plot as it comes up and as I have it written out and as characters are developed and created. But until next time, I am going to sign out. Bye, everybody.